Hi, I'm Patty Carroll,
And I'm Scott Carroll.
and we live in the state of Washington. Yes, it rains here, but that's why it's so beautiful. We want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So, Scott?
Well, when we were originally married back in 1990,
Oh my gosh.
married into three kids. They were 6, 7, 9 at the time. They are now much older.
Yes, they're much older.
Reason that we're talking to you is wanted to share a little bit about our journey and specifically our cancer journey. In November of 2017, I heard the words that nobody wants to hear. I heard you have cancer. And I tell you what, nothing prepares you to hear that. Nothing gives you the support, gives you the information to be able to navigate through that. Our minds were just racing. We had so many questions. One of the first things was, am I going to die?
Yeah.
What's life going to look like for the next weeks,
Forever.
months, forever?
Forever.
What do I tell my family? What do I tell my friends? Do I tell my family and friends? How am I going to pay for this? How expensive is it going to be? What do I tell my employer?
And then, as far as my side, I was just dumbfounded when I heard he had cancer, and he was at work and called me to tell me he had cancer. And then I had to wait all day until he came home from work to even discuss it, because we had just recently moved from Washington State to California, and I didn't know anybody. I'd only been there a week. So that was, and I knew we hadn't discussed, who do we talk to? So I didn't tell anybody. And as far as like my side of it, I was just sitting there going, what do I do? Who do I call? Can I call anybody? I didn't even know who I could call. I mean, we have been part of the American Cancer Society for many years, did many things to help them as far as trainings and Relay for Lives, but we never ever thought this was going to happen to us.
So one of the things that, what are some of the questions that you had when I first
Some of the questions I had was, is he going to die? That was the first one, because when you hear cancer, that's where your brain goes.
People say, how long do they have?
How long do they have? And I also wondered, what does that look like for us? Because he just started this job, and how does that look? And then, frankly, I was scared because I didn't know what that would entail as far as me helping him and taking care of what his needs were. So I immediately got on Google and started checking out what a caregiver does and that kind of thing. And I could not find real people answers. I could only find high level stuff I could get anywhere and read in a book.
Tons of medical
information.
all
so
sorts of
much
medical information. The facts and stats about different types of cancers and survival rates and what causes different types of cancers. And
well, in this case, he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. So the first thing I thought of, well, what does that mean? Do we need to buy special equipment for the bathroom? I mean, what does that look like? How does, and I'm just sitting there trying to figure this out and with no one to talk to. And I think for me, that was the hardest day, because not only could I not share that with someone and get some relief, I didn't know what to share, because I didn't have any answers to any questions that I had, which were more real people stuff, everyday stuff, not what happens after the surgery, the medical, stuff they release to you. It was more,
what's my day
going to look like?
What's treatment going to look like? What are the treatment options? What are the side effects?
What do I feed him? What can he eat? Does that change his diet?
Am I going to lose my hair? What are people going to say? How are people going to, what are people going to think?
Are we ever going to go on vacation again? Because can we leave? We didn't know if we could even leave. I mean, there was just none of those answers. And when we did ask his physicians, they had not experienced it. So they could give us just, here's a support group to talk to, or items like that. So, or here's a pamphlet on bladder cancer, which is like, okay.
I remember when we first asked my urologist about who I could talk to, who I could learn from. like you said, he gave me the support group information. I remember at the time the support group was like 3 weeks out, or maybe even 4 weeks out, which that's
That didn't
fine.
that didn't answer my
But
questions that
yeah,
moment.
it's like what? How do I get answers now? How do I get the
And we
information that I
loved
need
his
now?
doctor. So, I mean, truly loved him. He was just a wonderful person. But again, he had not experienced it.
Hadn't personally gone through it. He could tell me what he observed in
Hmm.
other patients. He can tell me, how many complications he had from his surgeries, but he couldn't tell me what's it like to have a neobladder.
Right,
What's it like to have a urostomy bag? What's
right.
it like to actually live with these things? So what we were looking for is we were looking for someone that we could actually talk to, someone who had been there, done that, someone who had experienced what we were about to experience and could give us some insight into, what was life going to look like? What were the pitfalls? What's the good, the bad, and the ugly? And I think that was really what I was looking
And
for
that's what I
is
was
is,
looking for
is
too.
just, good, the bad, and the ugly. And so now I am 8.5 years into my cancer journey. Thankfully, I am on a clinical trial right now that has kept me in remission for about a year
Yes.
now.
Hmm.
And we are hopeful that I will continue to do that. But I tell you, it was not an easy road. There were just so many things that we had to go through to get here. And I look back at some of the times that were most beneficial to me. And I think I think it was when I was able to when I found out that I was going to have my bladder removed.
Yeah.
And when we were trying to decide between the diversionary system, is it going to be a urostomy bag? Is it going to be a neobladder? And all the doctor could tell us was that,
What's a neobladder?
well, all the doctor could tell us is that the urostomy bag is the cleanest, the simplest, the easiest. Neobladder, that's a more complex thing. That's basically where they take a section of your intestine, they cut it open, they sew it up, kind of like a baseball, and they install it inside of you. So
Well,
it
they took
works
out your bladder.
right. So
Yeah.
basically, it serves it in place of the regular bladder, the original
Hmm.
bladder. Um,
But there's some complications there.
and that's what he was
Yeah.
saying is even though there's complications, I wanted to learn about that because I was 54 years old. We were still pretty active. We were still going on vacations and things like that. I'm not terribly vain, but I wanted to be able to swim.
Right.
I wanted to be able to lay in the sun and feel comfortable about it.
Right.
The idea of doing that with the urostomy bag, just I
You
I
couldn't wrap your head around it.
couldn't get my
No,
head
he
around it.
couldn't.
And so I knew that I needed to learn more about this neobladder. So one of the things that I did is I put a message out on Facebook. This is when I decided that I was going to be very open with my
Yeah.
cancer battle. And I did a posting on Facebook. We both have a good number of people,
Well,
over a
why is
thousand
it that
people.
you felt that was so important? I think I know the answer, but I just wanted to ask that.
Well, for me, there was really two parts. There was part of it that I had just learned that the hard way, not to ignore
Symptoms.
symptoms, not to ignore the blood in the urine, not
Not to
to
self-diagnose.
self-diagnose and figure. But
What do we mean by that? What you had started bleeding?
so I started bleeding, and I thought that it was
UTI.
a UTI. I thought it was a urinary tract infection. And so I started reading with Dr. Google how to cure a
UTI yourself.
yep. And it said that we needed to have cranberry juice. So I remember I went out at the time and I got some cranberry juice. And what I learned is that most cranberry juice that you buy off the shelf isn't cranberry juice at all.
No.
It's apple juice flavored with just a little bit of cranberry juice,
So he needed 100% cranberry juice.
which does not taste good at
No,
all.
it doesn't.
But again, what we were looking for is people who could tell us these things. We
Mhm.
didn't want to have to learn these by trial and error. We wanted to talk to somebody. So went public with my battle, and I said, hey, here's the situation I'm facing. I am going to have a surgery to remove my bladder. I'm being given options of diversionary methods, including a urostomy, a neobladder, and there were some other things that I knew were options to me as well. And I wanted to find out more about them. So on Facebook, I said, if you or anyone you know has been diagnosed with bladder cancer and had to face these decisions, let me know. Fortunately, I was able to find a classmate, a high school classmate of mine, said that her brother had gone through bladder cancer and chose a neobladder and
Was willing to, yeah.
willing to talk to me. And I tell you what, that was so helpful. Talking to someone who had actually been through it could, tell me, what went well, what didn't go well, what were surprises, how did you,
what's the day to day look like for you?
Yeah.
Did you go back to work?
Right.
Yeah.
All those types of things. And it was just so valuable. And then I ended up going back and getting a second person that I could talk to. And same type thing. So the first one was so valuable, so important, because he basically had a textbook type situation where everything went perfectly. His recovery went perfectly. He was actually back in a Army Reserve physical exam 6 weeks after his surgery.
Which is crazy.
And passed it.
Yeah.
The other gentleman that I spoke with had just completely opposite experience. It was the worst experience. He ended up having a leak. He got an infection. They weren't able to do a redo on his surgery for 6 months because his body was in such bad shape that it took him 6 months to get back to the point where he was healthy enough where that they would allow that. But again, I was looking for the good, bad, and the ugly. And so it was great that I got to talk to a person that had textbook situation and a person that had a really awful situation. Ultimately, they both said that, they felt that they had made the right choice for them. And that's what I find is that, it's not about there is no
right
one
choice.
Right choice.
No,
it's what's the right choice
you.
for you. What's the right choice for
your
us.
family.
Right. For our family. And so that's ultimately why we decided to start Life Between Scans, is we wanted to be able to share the information that we have gotten through the 8.5+ years that we've been through this, and share it with other people who might be going through similar types of situations. Obviously, we're not medical professionals.
No, we're not.
We're just normal people, and our plan, our goal is to just share information, share our experience, not with the idea of swaying you to a certain way of belief.
Absolutely not.
Not to, influence your decisions, but rather just to let you know what we've gone through, what we found helpful, what we felt we were missing, and just give you someone to talk to, someone who can answer questions that
One of the things that we say all the time is sharing is caring, and we really mean that, because that would have been so great if I could have just picked up the phone. And when I did pick up the phone, by the way, to call some agencies out there that were available, the people that answer the phones are nurses. So they've not experienced it, but they give me the medical information. Again, I was looking for, do I need to go to the store and buy special things? What do I need to do? Oh my gosh, do I need to stay up all night? I mean, there was just all these questions.
No shortage of medical information.
No shortage of, and it's good medical information too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But it's more about, what does day one look like? What does surgery day look like? How's this going to affect my insurance? How's this going to affect my family? How's this going to affect my employment? There's just so many other things that, beyond the medical that we really needed, and I'm guessing other people really need too.
As well. As a caregiver, I have many, many, many things I can talk about, but it's very difficult when you're a caregiver that's also the spouse, because you want to make sure that you're not being a mother, right? And so it's a balance, and also to take care of yourself, because if you're not doing well, like they say, if mama's not doing well, no one is, or something like that. So I always mess those things up. But anyway.
Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody
Well,
happy.
there you go. And see, that's where we were really good together.
But so anyway, through this Life Between Scans, what we have learned is that fighting cancer is not easy. There will be challenges. There will be setbacks. but there will also be victories. There'll be little wins along the way. There'll be, and ultimately, what we found is it's important for life to continue to happen. Um, we didn't want me to be all about cancer. We didn't want our lives to be all about cancer.
Well, you don't like people when they say your cancer, because it's
There's
not your cancer, you say.
there right. There are things that we needed that um,
We just couldn't get.
right. So what we want to do with this life between scans is we want to share those perspectives. We want to share answers to what's it like to be a cancer patient. What's it like to have metastatic bladder cancer? What's it like to be a caregiver?
What's it like to be the spouse?
What's it like to be the spouse? How is the spouse and the caregiver role different? How is it the same? How, what is so unique about a caregiver role that a patient will never understand, and vice versa? What is it that a patient goes through that a
I will never
caregiver will
understand.
never
Yeah.
understand? It's about, again, sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, having some place to reach
And the
out
hope.
and the hope. Absolutely. But so yes, we found it was important to continue to live life, and so that's the whole idea of life between scans. Is we want to continue to live even while we're going through a difficult cancer battle, a complex cancer battle, and so we want to help. How do we do that? One of the ways that we're setting this up is we want this to be a conversation. We want to have a conversation with you. And so, really, we invite you to sit down, pull up a chair, and
Join us.
join us. Welcome to Life Between Scans.